Chairman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week as we explore places to go and things to do. We're going back to one of my favorite places, the Katonah Museum in, of course, Katonah. And there is a just amazing exhibit there right now through September 14th. It's unbelievable. You have to see it. But since everybody may not get there, we have two people who know so much about the exhibit and can tell us about it. One of our guests is Pat Grable, who is the head of docents, and the other is Ellie Kahn, who is a docent trainer. They both do tours as well. Fortunately, I went to see the exhibit, and Ellie Kahn was doing the tour. They do it every day except Monday at 2:30 p.m., and I had the pleasure of having a great tour. You don't see things unless you go with a docent. The fact that it's on at 2:30 is just a wonderful thing to do. So the name of the show, the exhibit, is Craft as Art, Art as Craft. And so that's a nice title. It's an interesting title. But what we have to do now is to find out what's the difference between craft and art.
That's a question that cannot be answered definitively because there will be as many opinions about it as there are people that you ask.
What's yours?
Mine is definitely that most craft that's produced today is art.
I agree with you.
Especially if it's a high quality and it's one of a kind and it's innovative. That's a key, really, the innovation. Whether it should be innovative in terms of technique or the materials used or even the inspiration behind it, the idea, the concept.
So let me ask this question. What's craft?
Craft has to be handmade, well-made. I mean, the two cross over. That's the fascinating thing. And the final decision often lies in the hands of people in power within the museums. Because if a craft person, for instance, has a show at somewhere like the Museum of Modern Art, no one's going to say, your craft is not art.
Right. So sometimes it's really just as simple as that, or not as simple as that.
This exhibit has
it's exact as that. But craft also traditionally had, until the end of World War II, was primarily thought of as something that filled a need, and that was certainly done handmade, and something that was closely related to its medium. You think of a wood whittler or a quilter in terms of fiber or whatever. Today there is still that closeness to the medium and to the human hand with working in the medium. But what's happening today is that we're finding more and more that craft artists are incorporating ideas and concepts into their work that are individual points of view.
Are they all useful as a bowl or
No, not
vase?
necessarily, and we'll show you some examples of that. But first I'd like to show you something that certainly has...
Well, before we get into showing them, I do want to put on the screen so everybody could see it, the cover of the catalog, which kind of establishes the whole tone of what's going on. I find that very, very interesting, and it kind of sets what we're going to talk about. You mentioned before that other people determine what is good craft or good art. Certainly there's great credentials for this exhibit because all of the objects come from
the American Craft Museum,
which is considered to be the primary museum for the exhibition of all the studio crafts, though our show only exhibits the crafts of jewelry, glass, and fiber.
Divided into 2 rooms?
2 rooms.
How does that work?
One room shows jewelry and glass, and the other room shows fiber.
What I was impressed with, in addition to how beautiful everything is how well they're displayed, and that itself to me is an art.
It is indeed.
Every time I go to the Katonah Museum, I find that it looks completely different. Yes. 2 exhibit rooms in the garden, but it looks completely different because what has been done in the space.
We have a professional installer Arthur Clarke, who was associated with IBM for many years, and he does many of our exhibitions, including this one.
Now, Arthur did the exhibitions for the IBM Gallery in Manhattan until it closed just a few years ago.
Yeah, well, you mentioned he's an installer. Well, I think he's more than an installer. I think he's an artist.
Well, yes, anybody related to the museum is an artist to some extent, I suppose.
It certainly is.
By process of osmosis.
Well, he has to have a lot of knowledge about art, and he has to know something about each individual piece, because certain pieces need to be exhibited in certain ways.
Yeah, it's been done very, very well. So what's the exhibit consist of now? What's in there, and what does it cover? And hey, docents, start docenting.
Beginning with which of the 100 objects?
but generally, an overview.
It includes work that's been done, all of it's been done since World War II, just about the last 50 years, we would say. And the reason for that is that there has been such an explosion of art in the studio craft, or we would call it, in the last 50 years, that it's a very exciting development. And the work is so exciting that this 50 years shows us something very new.
And actually, I would say the main purpose of the show is probably to give a history of studio craft in America, and also to help us understand what is art. And by looking at the objects, we can do it.
How many are there?
100. And they're all made by the most outstanding American, for the most part, craftsmen.
Why don't we start looking at some of the pieces that you have? Now, we talked about craft is art, art is craft. This first one that we're going to put up on the screen now is going to give us something that kind of makes no question about the fact that it's craft and art. So let's talk about it right now. What is it?
Well, the piece is a glass sculpture. I choose to call it sculpture. I don't know that anyone would challenge that.
It's an art term.
Yes, it's an art term by Stephen Dale Edwards, and he calls it hostage. What's unique about it, I think, in terms of considering the craft in the old-fashioned sense of craft, is that the artist is really expressing his own feelings and an idea that is really universal. And the idea, of course, is the helplessness, the blindfold, the helplessness, and the blindness of a hostage. And I think the ironic point is that this piece is done in glass, and glass we associate as a medium that transmits light, and light we think of as sight. And here we have a blind hostage who is cast in glass. And this piece would have been cast just as you might cast a bronze piece.
Really?
It's cast just like metal is cast. The glass is heated until it's molten and poured into a cast. And as a matter of fact, this artist does his first maquette, or a model for this, has done it in clay, and then it's cast in glass.
Now, this piece, if it was not in a craft show, could be in any museum as sculpture.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so many things that are sculpture, if they have certain characteristics, are also crafts.
That's true too.
That's true too.
You see every medium. It also
mediums are really interrelated, much more so than you think.
I don't think, though, you'd find any artist who's considered a fine artist who would be pleased if you pointed out the fact that he's doing something that many craftsmen do, because there's a certain snobbery in the field, and certainly it's considered much more prestigious to be a fine artist than to be a craft artist.
But these are all fine craft artists.
And these are, and certainly the boundaries are changing a great deal now.
The fact that there's such diversity. Certainly one room is all fibers and the other is glass and jewelry. They're all the same, but I guess they have to be hung differently. So
they're different sizes, they're different shapes, they're different textures. So that when you look around one room, especially the room with the jewelry and the glass, the diversity of shapes is quite staggering, much more so than you'd expect.
Now we're going to show another one which was completely different from what we had. What is this?
It's a piece of fibre, actually.
Is it?
Yes, but it brings together two crafts, the craft of fibre and the craft of sculpting, because this artist, Dawn McKnight, she had a father and a grandfather and an uncle, and one was an engineer and one was a blacksmith and one was a welder. And she has taken seagrass and copper and she's sort of woven it and sculpted it. So this looks like an actual figure, a very whimsical figure, leaning off to one side, but it's considered to be a work of fibre.
It's actually woven.
Is it metal?
It's both. It's seagrass, which is a natural fiber, and it's copper wire.
It is copper wire.
And the copper wire is the warp, which is, for those of us who wove, even those of us who only wove pot holders, we know that the warp are the threads that go up and down, and those are all copper. And the weft, which are the threads that go horizontally, are all out of a seagrass.
Can they work with copper and
Yes,
weave it through? Or,
yes.
Or warp it through?
Or weave it without warping it?
Whatever, warp or weft, it certainly is quite an astonishing result. In fact, there are craft artists that knit with wire. Actually knit, and there's one jewelry artist called Arlene Fish who does that. But this particular piece that we're looking at is also unique in that the artist has given it a universal feeling, certainly. She calls it kindred spirit. And when we look at it, at least I do, get a very kind of almost ghostly feeling in a way, but also a feeling of a figure that's about to embrace or reach out to you.
Yeah, what interests me a great deal is the fact that everything there is different. I mean, people working in glass or jewelry, and there's a lot of humor.
There is a lot of humor.
I guess you have to have a sense of humor in order to be a craftsman, right?
Well, you shouldn't take yourself too seriously at most of the things you do, I think.
Yeah, well, I just want to remind our audience that we're talking today about this wonderful exhibit, Craft is Art, Art is Craft, at the Katonah Museum, and my two guests today are Pat Grable and Ellie Kahn, both docent trainers and also docents at the museum, and very good because I've toured with both of them on several occasions. So let's talk about humor now. What happens with humor is
it's often incorporated into a piece. Do
you have to know something about what's
sometimes
being done?
sometimes the humor has to be explained, and we'll be happy to do that for you.
Yeah. So is it better to go with a docent?
Oh, definitely, because we bring inanimate objects to life. That really is our main job, and to give people an interesting and enjoyable time without actually lecturing at them. So you come away with something.
My experience has been that sometimes I get there before 2:30, and I could take an overview of the exhibit before I go on the tour. And then when I do the docent tour, it's completely different because I'm seeing things that I never saw before, and I know why and why and why.
There's background. It broadens your view, and you really have a sense of what you're looking at in context. You talked about humor before. There's humor in a number of the pieces. There's also
this is a humorous one that we've got on the screen now.
And it's very whimsical.
It's a very whimsical one.
What is it?
It's called Pendant Rock, but actually it looks like a bird, but it looks like a bird that's not real, and it's influenced by the fine arts movement of surrealism. Many of the artists in the show are influenced by fine arts movement, but this piece by Sam Kramer, who's considered a pioneer in his field, and he has a sense of humor. In fact, at one time there was a sign outside his jewelry shop which read, "Fantastic jewelry for those who are slightly mad." And
is he in New York? Is he?
He's not with us anymore.
Oh.
He has passed on, as they say. But before he passed, he made pieces. He was one of the first jewelry makers to make pieces of jewelry with found objects. And in this piece, the most noticeable found object is the eye. It's a taxidermist's eye.
Oh.
So he's telling us, all right, he's serious.
Looking at me. Yeah.
Yes. But it's
Kramer's shop was on 8th Street down in Greenwich Village. And at that time, the 40s and the 50s, when this art jewelry was first becoming popular, popular. We found there were a lot of young people, particularly, who were interested in it, and particularly people who are interested in modern art. And they would wear it as a kind of badge, which would say, I'm cool, or
I'm cool about art.
I'm cool about art, and I am very avant-garde. But art jewelry was very interesting in the fact that precious jewels and gold and silver were not important to it. In fact, jewelry, for the most part, which we think of as jewelry today, is jewelry that presents a statement of the owner's status or wealth. But art jewelry does not. Art jewelry,
in fact, it challenges traditional roles.
In fact, they called people who would wear great big diamonds, very plebeian.
Now, you mentioned the word wearables, and jewelry is wearable. Traditionally, but not necessarily all the jewelry in here is wearable, and we're going to show in a few moments a very interesting piece of non-wearable jewelry, right? So what is it? Let's talk about it and say what it is now.
All right, it's a piece by Marjorie Schick, and it's called Neck Piece. I can't imagine anyone really trying to wear it because it's very large.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Well, if you weren't before, you would be after. But her whole point is that she's questioning, is it jewelry if it cannot be worn? Is it jewelry if it has no jewels? Or is it a work of art? And if it's a work of art, what sort of artistic elements does it employ? And her employment of art is quite obvious there, because she's obviously interested in color relationships and in design and in pattern.
What's the material?
Wood and paint.
Wood and paint.
Doesn't look like wood.
It doesn't, especially in a photograph. And it's huge. It's really quite big.
Yeah, about 24 inches?
25 or 26 inches. But she says that she does not necessarily make jewelry to be worn. She says that, and she says, but it always refers to the human body. So I guess
it's a starting point.
A neck of some sort would fit in there, whether it be a human neck. I don't know.
Off with her neck.
Right, it is a starting point. She designs with the body in mind.
Yeah, it intrigues me, the imagination that these people have in creating these designs.
Artists have always been credited with having an imagination, and craft people do too.
Well, where do you start? What's the creative process?
Well, it's different with each person, and it can be very complex and very complicated. Sometimes they use a craft that's quite traditional, and other times it's much more innovative. I just want to get into another point.
I interviewed Edward Giobbe, the artist who has been at the Katonah Museum, but he's now an exhibit. And I asked him, very famous in many museums, and he's in his 70s, and he's been in the collections of many people for a long, long time, works very big. And I asked him, how does the creative process start? And he says, I think about it, and I think about it, think what I want to do, and think what I want to convey, think about my colors, and then I sketch. And then I sketch, and then I paint. He works very, very big. He works on huge canvases. He studied in Florence, and he loves frescoes, and he never got a commission to do a fresco. So he just... It's so big that he doesn't see anything else when he's doing it. So these are his frescoes, and that's how he gets away with it. Now, this next piece that we're going to show, to me, you'll have to tell me what it is, but it looks like the famous stop-action Edgerton photo of a drop of water coming into a cup and everything splashing out this way. It looks like that to me. What is it?
It's a crown, actually. It's a crown not for a monarch, but for a bride. It's a wedding crown. And it's made by somebody who's far from royal. I guess she would rank as a commoner because she was born in Trenton, New Jersey, and grew up in the Bronx. She does use a traditional technique, but what makes her work really innovative is her ability to combine strength with delicacy. This is is by Mary Renk, and she loves everything that she does. She loves the whole process, whether it's cutting out a design with a saw or fusing two materials together. This actually contains 14-karat gold and little wires, or whether it's then focusing into the diminutive detail of the teeny-weeny little pearls.
How big is it?
It's
6 inches across. It's
That's
small.
all. Oh, it
yes,
looks so
it is small, but it's lyrically beautiful.
What is unique about it, just from a technical point of view, is the way she has connected the pieces, the forms. There's no solder. It's not melted in any way. It's just put together by shapes, by the shape, and actually bending it. And that is unique. But the result is really quite a traditional-looking piece in that it's gold and pearls and
so technique,
very pretty. We can say it's pretty in a traditional
It's not only
way.
beauty, it's not only creative, but it's a lot of technique. You have to know the medium that you're working in.
Absolutely.
Actually, she's a self-taught jewelry artist, but she has been a professional goldsmith for 30 years, and she teaches other people now. So she's generous with her sharing.
When we talk about the creative process in humor, is it in the artist who's a humorous person, or trying to make a statement through humor, or what?
It's in the concept, in the original concept.
And
Though I don't think any artist would say outright, "I want to be funny." I mean, that's not really the main purpose, but I think you'll see possibly with the next thing that you
I think
look
the
at.
humor is, at least in the pieces I can think of in our museum, the humor is either to make a point, or the humor is something that is intrinsic to the whole piece. For example, the pendant that we looked at with the bird with the taxidermist's eye, the whole thing has a kind of whimsical, light,
I want to do a little information about where people can call to find out more about the exhibit and directions or anything that goes with it. So what's the telephone number?
914-232-9555.
I'll do it once again a little slower.
914-232-9555.
Now, we know that people do not always have a pen or pencil at hand, so what we will do is put that number up in the closing credits so that everybody will be able to get it. What's the process of training a docent? I mean, first of all, how much do you have to know, and how do you learn it?
Which one of us would you like to? It depends on the show and the content on the show.
One of the things we learned today is that docents have no trouble talking, right?
Well, that's an important thing.
So what do? You do a lot of research beforehand?
No, there are a few people who volunteer. We're all the docents are volunteers, and there are a few people who volunteer to be trainers. And they're selected because of their ability to teach and their
ability to research.
Yes,
their ability to
teaching and researching are criteria.
So the first step is get a lot of knowledge, and the second step is turn it into a script.
Turn it into a script. Yes, we give our docents. Yes, we give the docents 3 or 4 slide lectures. And the slide lectures can last as long as 3 hours or even a little bit more. We also have to provide the docents with complete written information about everything. We tell the docents much more than they tell you, because you never know what questions people might have.
We noticed that on the tour I did with you, Ellie. There were some very knowledgeable people there, and they kept providing information.
Absolutely. You often learn from people who come to the exhibition.
How many experts there are in the audience, and or sometimes how few people, or sometimes the fact that the questions are not necessarily in line with what they're seeing. Let's talk about the museum a little bit now. There's a great summer program going on for adults and children.
There are 2 special events for adults. One is a wonderful jewelry making workshop conducted by Robert Ebendorf, who is one of the outstanding jewelry artists in the United States. We're really so pleased that he agreed to do this, and he's going to do a full day workshop. People will make their own jewelry jewelry, and he will talk somewhat about his own jewelry and do a little educating with slides and whatever. The other event, that's on July 25th. On July 23rd, there is a museum trip to the studio of one of our fiber artists, Helena Hernmark, who lives in Richfield. She will talk a little bit about her studio and her art and show everyone the way she works. And then there will be a lovely tour to a local garden, lunch, and a visit to the Brown Grotta Gallery in Wilton, which is an outstanding fiber arts gallery. So that's a tour that is designed around fiber arts.
All the more reason for people to call the museum and get all the details and find out what has to be done and so on. And I'm sure that in the limited time that we have, I'm sure we could do 3 hours on this subject, that there's a lot more information available in the museum
There
staff.
are also children's programs, too, children's workshops.
The program certainly is so extensive that people should go. I want to emphasize the point that making the tour with the docent improves it, but you don't have to go at 2:30 on any specific day, and so you can really enjoy it. Docent is better.
That's true. We do have a catalog, by the way, so if you go by yourself, you can pick up a catalog, and that contains an essay that would be very helpful to someone just looking.
Not as good as seeing a live show,
Never as good.
as we've often discovered, or even video, the stage presence. Well, we've run out of time. I mean, it's been a terrific interview. You've shown us only a fraction of the things that we could have shown, and I just thank you both for coming here and telling everybody about this wonderful, wonderful exhibit. So what we're talking about today is Craft is Art, Art is Craft at the Katonah Museum on through September 14th. It's a really exceptional exhibit, and I urge you to go there. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go, and until next time, enjoy yourself.